Okay. Ignore the background noise. I have my clothes in the dryer. Today, okay, it took me a second. Today we're gonna be talking, it's October. Dear God, I actually cannot get to the point. It is October. It's spooky season. Now, in my opinion, it's always spooky season. And spooky season actually starts September 1st. But it is October 6th. And, you know, now everybody is officially in the spooky mood. I got my hair all dark and straight, which I love my curly hair. I do. I love it. I would never get a relaxer, no nothing. I love it. But, like, my hair is this long when it's straight, but the moment I, like, wear it natural, and especially after I sleep in it, bob. So I'm fighting demons right now. Like, I'm resisting the urge to just keep straightening it until it's, like, long. Because I don't feel like dropping money on extensions. Even with a professional discount, I do not feel like dropping money on extensions. My hair is kind of dirty right now, so ignore that. Now, today, spooky season. I live in Louisiana, which is just the portal. I swear to God, every time I film with, like, in here, not my car, this chair pisses me off. So, Louisiana, where literally everything happens. We have the Myrtles Plantation, which I really want to go to. I also literally live 7-10 minutes away from the Destrehan Plantation. So, like, I've had Mother's Day, not Mother's Day, what was it? Father's Day? I've had, like, there's a restaurant right there. I've had dinner, like, on the plantation. I have photos, which I may insert. Who knows? I'm trying to get back to editing my videos and not just posting them because it's scary. And, yeah. This is just water. I have a spoon in here because it was electrolytes and creatine. And the creatine I have, I don't know if it's all creatine. This one does not dissolve fully. So, like, you gotta keep, like, stirring it because it just settles. I've had my matcha today. Let's get back to it. So, a lot of haunted places. Now, to preface this, growing up, very Christian. Very Christian. Every denomination. We've been non-denominational, but, like, a little bit of Pentecostal. Like, my mom kind of just made a medley pot. Like, literally just threw things in and basically just low-key made her own religion. Like, her own beliefs, and practices, which I can get into in the future, like, about my homeschooling, like, growing up, IBLP, things like that. But from a young age, due to indoctrination, I was like, this is not my family's faith, this is my faith. Like, I took it very seriously. And even from a young age, I would say that if I was not a Christian, I would be a witch. I would be in the occult maybe I am a psychic. Because I've always felt very connected to spirituality. Just the unseen, everything. From a young age. My first memory, which I'll get into, is when I was like 10, maybe younger. From a young age, I've always just been spooked by things. Very superstitious. My dad so my mom's side is Cajun French. My dad's side is Italian, Sicilian. And, which I know, right? I don't look like either, but that's a whole other issue. So my dad he would go to church with us, but he also, like, was more Catholic than anything, and also, which is very Italian American. So along with that, we also had, like, as I got older, more like Italian superstition. More so after my parents divorced and we moved out, my dad was more into that stuff. Like, would lose something, he'd be like, pray to St. Anthony, things like that. But also just like the whole evil eye or bad luck things, just a lot of stuff like that. So, and my older sister didn't grow up with us. She grew up with her dad, who was definitely not like my mom. So from a young age, she was like watching horror movies, things like that. She was always into paranormal stuff. Meanwhile, we were always sheltered from it. Literally couldn't watch anything. No Wizards of Waverly Place, no nothing, because it'd open a door. Now, I do feel like, I guess this is just going to be a video about my thoughts on spirituality as a entire subject. Because as I deconstructed, I feel like I believe in like a higher power, just not like the Abrahamic God, but I also feel like it's more so energy and frequency. I'm very much, let me say this, I'm very much science based. I think that is because I grew up with the complete opposite. I grew up learning creationism and things like that. And that dinosaurs were real, but they were wiped out by the flood. So, I feel like I tend to want to trust science more because I wasn't raised with actually backed science. It was more so Christian shit. Like super religious stuff, not actual science. So I'm very much a skeptic. If something can be explained, I want to explain it. I do not really care. I'm not gonna say I don't care for people who, I don't care for people who immediately jump to a unexplainable conclusion before trying to think about it logically. To this day, I've had experiences that I personally cannot explain. I've been with people who have experienced things that cannot explain to this day and don't know what that's about. But if it could be explained, I would listen. I'm not going to be here and be like, no, it was a ghost. Because you can't deny the facts. I feel like spirituality and science can go together. I'm not going to say how because I want to be more educated in that. I feel like I'm not educated enough to explain why I feel that way. Obviously, there's like quantum physics, things like that. Like I said, there are still things that I can't really explain. And it's the same way I view spirituality, like practices. Maybe it is a placebo effect. I feel like it's not doing any harm to me, others around me, or the environment around me. So if it is a placebo effect, I don't really care because it's only doing me better. And also, like, I'm a firm believer in you do things for yourself. I'm a firm believer that I achieved this. I did that. Mainly because growing up, you couldn't take the reward for anything. There was no prize. It was all to God. And I don't believe in that. So I did it. And I don't think that's a bad thing to have pride. That's a whole extra thing. Same with like the tarot cards. I don't believe they're predicting our future, but I think it can be a good guide for guidance. I think that sometimes it is it's a comfort. So that's just a little preface like about me, about my thoughts on spirituality. I've always just been super spiritual and I feel like in tune to things like that. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I'm a medium or a psychic or anything. I do feel more in tune than the average person, personally, but whoop-de-doo, who knows. So let's get into some stories. My first story that I remember, there were a few things before that I would do, but also I think that was just like little kid like things. I would every night, maybe this was because of Toy Story, who knows. Every night I would put all my dolls, all my stuffed animals, everything in my closet on the floor, all sitting the exact same way, because I was like, if I wake up and I open that closet and something's off, that's it. Burn, baby, burn. I was like maybe like 7. I think I was also kind of weirded out because my great-grandmother, my Mimi, not to this day, I think she got rid of them when she moved. My Mimi would keep dolls, like antique dolls, glass dolls, porcelain dolls that looked like me. Intentionally. She would get them and keep them because they looked like me, which she thought was cute. Even as a kid, I was like, that is creepy. This is not right. Like, please. Like, if they had curly hair, blue eyes, it was hers. It had to be hers. And she had this one that was sitting on this swing in the corner of the sunroom. And I hated it. When I would go sleep over as I got older, one of the dolls that she just kept like in a seat, I would like smother it. I would put a pillow or something on it when I'd sleep. And she'd always get mad at me for doing that when she woke up and was like, where's the doll? I'm like, it's under there. You deal with it. But my first real experience is I was 10. It was my 10th birthday, actually. And my parents were just getting divorced, and I think they had to go to court or something. It was just gonna be this long weekend. So I had to stay at my mom's best friend, her mom's house. I don't want to say names, just because I, you know, privacy, whatever. So I'm gonna call her L and F. So F is L's mom. L is was my mom's best friend. And, oh, my undercut's growing out, guys, if y'all can't tell. So basically, me and my younger sister had to sleep there for the night. And at that time, Elle had 2 kids. One of them was just like not a newborn, maybe 3 or 4 months old. And then the other one was maybe like 3 or 4. That night, the night before my birthday, we were sleeping in the living room on the floor, like a big air mattress, and we were sleeping with the kids. Like I said, I was 10, so my younger sister was 7. Yeah. And there's the living room. Okay, so you have the, let me think. You have the living room here. Wait, no, the living room is here. The kitchen is here, and there's a door for the kitchen here, a door for the living room here. And then there's the hallway in all the bedrooms. So you could see if somebody came from the hallway and walked to the kitchen, because they'd have to walk past the living room door frame. And I swore to God that I saw like a tall, dark figure walk from one of the bedrooms to the kitchen. But even at 10 years old, I was like, it is 3 a.m. I'm watching Disney Junior when I really should be asleep. Just, you know, don't think about it. Brush it off the old shoulder, go to bed. The next morning, it is, I don't know what time in the morning it was. So L and F were outside smoking. They would smoke so fucking much. Like, they would sit outside for hours. And I was holding the baby, because, you know, I'd have to, if they were outside, who was watching the kids? Me. So it's my 10th birthday. They're outside. I'm literally in the living room. It's daytime now. I see a grown man. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't opaque. It wasn't translucent. It wasn't like a shadow. It was like a man, but not fully decipherable, I guess. Not fully visually there. So I saw a man in this like hat, like a baseball hat. I believe it was red. It was red or blue. Walk from the hall to the kitchen and back. Freaked me out so bad. The baby in my arms, I sat on the reclining chair, crying, sobbing, like literally rocking back and forth. Elle comes in, finds me, and is like, what is wrong? Like, what happened? I am like in shock. I'm shaking. I'm crying, rocking back and forth. And I'm like, I don't want to be inside anymore. I do not want to be inside anymore. So we go sit outside, and they're like trying to get me to talk. I'm not talking. I'm like, what did I just see? Like, what was that? So F, L's mom, is sitting there. She's like, it's okay. We're not inside anymore. Like, what happened? Because they're thinking I heard something or whatever. They're thinking something like in reality happened. And then I go, I saw a man with this hat on. Because the hat was really the only thing I saw. Like, I could tell it was a man, but the hat was, like, prominent for a reason. They, literally, the blood, the color drains from their face. And F, it's like, wait, goes inside, comes back with a picture. Now, I would not do this to a kid, because this really, like, messed me up. I was like, what the fuck? So she shows me a picture of, I believe it's her dad, who died in the house, and he always wore that baseball hat. Like, every day he died wearing it. I was like, what the fuck do you mean? And I had no knowledge of this beforehand. The only man that was in that house was her husband, and he spent most of the time in their, like, shed that he made into, like, this den. So he was almost never in the house. And, you know, because I thought maybe it was just him. No, he was in the shed. He didn't even sleep in the house like that night before. He doesn't sleep in the house. He sleeps in the shed. So that was always weird. And then come to find out, my older sister's boyfriend, apparently his family actually built that house years ago before they lived in it, which is really weird. Really weird. Next story, I've always had night terrors. real bad night terrors. And I've always had dreams that are like connected. So growing up, it's so weird. This is so weird, and I'm big about dreams. I don't know about all that reality shift and shit, but dreams, lucid dreaming is real. Sleep paralysis is real. I haven't really experienced much sleep paralysis, if any, if I'm being honest. It's always been like night terrors. Like, you're in the dream and you feel that pain. Like, I would wake up and feel phantom pain from things that happen in the dream. Which I was literally watching this video last night on, like, I think it was about manifestation and like quantum physics, about how like the things that we dream of is reality. It is just a different, if that makes sense. I could go into dreams forever and about like things about it that I don't quite grasp, things that I do, like, anyways. For years, like ever since I was a kid, I would be, specifically from like February to like April, I would be terrified to go to sleep because I would have a repetitive dream every single year that would happen like one night during that time span. It was always the beginning of the year. I think maybe this has something to do with trauma. Maybe something happened around that time of the year, like in spring, winter, whatever. And maybe I just like started having nightmares around that time. But it would reoccur every like, and it would change. Like every 3 to 4 years, I'd have a new nightmare around that same time. And then it would happen like repetitively for like another 3 to 4 years. Some of them were goofy, some of them were like realistic to like my life. My first one, I was terrified of the Grinch. So it was literally, my mom had this van. We called it like the mystery ink machine because it was like yellow and blue. And all my other sisters, we'd go pick up, they lived like an hour away. So when they come over, we would like pick them up in that van. So my first reoccurring nightmare would be that I would be in the back of the van. I'd be the last to get out. And the moment I'm about to like round the corner to walk out the door, the Grinch just like gets in, sits at the front of the bus. I'm all the way in the back clutching my pearls, like, don't like against the wall, like, don't come near me. And it's just from until the sun up, literally until the morning, he's like terrorizing me, like taunting me. And then he walks out when the sun comes up and I get out and then it's over. That would happen literally for like 4 years straight. Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. And then other ones would be super realistic. I would fuck! Oh, I'm so on edge. Oh my god, okay, I guess I'm taking you with me while I do laundry. That's so fucking funny. I need more lights on in this bitch. I'm home alone. I only film when I'm home alone. So basically, oh my god, I need it to stop. Where do I want this? Do I look snatched? Anyways. So, I need hangers. So basically, I would have these really bad night terrors. And they'd also be about like, okay, ignore how messy this room is. They'd also be about people in my life, and then it would come true. Like, I'd have a bad, I'm yelling because I don't know if you'll be able to hear me. I would, like, be emotionally tuned in to emotions about people I knew, and then it would be true. Like, they'd be a bad person. They'd be a creep. They'd be whatever. So dreams were always something big for me, and when I was very Christian, like, I would think it was prophetic, stuff like that. And I'm gonna leave this light on, so I'm gonna have to come back here in a minute anyways. And so basically, this is gonna be one long ass video. Would have dreams about people I knew, and then they'd end up being a bad person. And it wasn't just like my opinion of them. Something would come out about them. One of my mom's ex-fiancés. Which nobody thought anything was bad about him. I was the only one. They'd be like, you just need to give him a chance. I'd be like, well, this is your, like, 4th fucking fiance. You hate staying single, apparently. So, I know y'all think I have just, like, being a bitch. I had this dream that I was in my childhood room, but it was in the house that we lived at that time. So, even though it was the layout of my current room at that time, it had the decorations and everything of my childhood room at my childhood house, where a lot of shit went down. So, and I remember it so vividly. It was like I was laying in bed and I couldn't move. And my door opened and a hand came over like this. And he peeked into the room and he tried to, like... So, in the dream, I stabbed him. And then in the leg. And then he stabbed me back in the leg. And when I woke up, I had, like, the sharpest pain in my leg in the same spot. And it genuinely, I genuinely feel like if you were to stab me in my leg, I would already know what that feels like. Like, I feel like I know what it feels like to be stabbed. That's how realistic, like, my dreams were. And then it turned out he actually was a perv. So, not, like, towards children, but, like, he was really perverted. Dreams, right? Really weird. So my second biggest thing was I basically, in that room that I lived in at that time, before my mom had him as fiance, we lived with my ex-stepdad, literal piece of shit. And I've always seen, like, shadow figures. And not the type where it's, like, out the corner of your eye. I'm talking the type where I will turn around, because I think it's out the corner of my eye, look at it, and it's still there. Now, maybe I'm just schizophrenic. And that's always been a thing. I'm like, well, my mom's bipolar, and I was on for the past, like, maybe 4 years, I was on antidepressants. But even before all that stuff, like, even as a kid, I would see things. Even now, when I'm not on antidepressants, I would see things. And I'm telling you, it's not stuff that's at the corner of your eye. Like, I think it's at the corner of my eye. I will look at it, and it stays. And it will be the middle of the fucking day, too. Every night, for about maybe 5 days. I don't think it was a complete week, because a week after this went down, I had raging insomnia. I actually, like, that's why I don't think it was a week, because this event was a week. The insomnia was a week long. It lasted for 7 days, and I never felt more crazy in my life. I wish I had all the stuff that I wrote down, because I ruined friendships. It sent me into literal, like, religious psychosis. That insomnia was the, like, worst thing I've ever experienced. But the week before was really weird, because every night for about, like, maybe 4 to 5 nights, I'd go to bed and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and there would be a shadow figure, like, tall. And I'm not saying, like, you can make out features. It's just, like, did y'all watch Annihilation? Like, if that figure was just opaque black, like, no features, just opaque black, it would just stand next to my bed, like this. Like, this is my bed, stand next to it. And of course, I'd, like, hide under the fucking covers, because what do you mean? And there was this one night where I went under the covers, I peeked back out, and it was like this. Looking at me, like, bent over, face inches away. I still get really freaked out about that. Because that really did fuck me up. So that was another thing that really, like, I don't know how to explain it. Because maybe I was dreaming, but it wasn't, like, I was awake. I'm talking about maybe I was dreaming in the sense of, like, sleep paralysis. I was awake, though. Like, it's enough to where I know I was awake. But every night, for, like, 4 days straight, that's fucking crazy. And then another, like, joined experience that me and my 2 other sisters have had. So these 2 sisters, we share a mom. Me and my younger sister, we share a mom and dad. My older sister just shares my mom. She has a different dad. Me and my older sister were first to experience this. My younger sister never knew about it until I asked her if she had experienced anything like that, and she was like, holy shit. Basically, me and my sister have both experienced being in bed and physically feeling and even seeing the bed dip next to us as if... Sorry, my Ehlers-Danlos is showing. As if somebody laid down next to you. Like, feeling the bed dip and sometimes even seeing it dip. I still experience that to this day. The reason I literally thought about that is because I experienced it last night. Experiencing, my little sister will even experience, like, feeling grabbed. Like, she'll be sitting in bed and literally feeling like somebody's, like, got her by the arm. I don't remember if that's how she explained it to me, but, like, feeling, like, touched. I have felt several times. I don't ever say I've been, like, scratched or anything, because I'm very violent in my sleep, and I know that, so I will bruise myself very easily and scratch the shit out of myself. But, having really weird things, like, during the day, I will hear not just, like, my name be called. Sometimes I'll hear, like, the people I'm with be called when it's literally just the two of us. Like, in the room. I will feel myself being touched all the fucking time. At my best friend's house the other day, we were, like, literally laying on the floor watching a Peyton King video. And she has her fan on, but it's in, like, a different direction. And we're laying next to each other, but there's still a good, like, 4 inches of space between us. So it's not her clothes, it's not nothing. And I literally felt like somebody was poking my thigh, like that. And it happened it happened like 2 or 3 times, and literally neither of us had moved. Nothing had changed. Her rabbit was not in the room. Like, there was no reason for that. Just basically a bunch of weird shit. A bunch of weird shit has happened that to this day I cannot explain. I often wonder if maybe I'm just crazy, but at the same time, because I do like looking into psychology and things like that, and I did say, I do prefer looking into the logical explanation of things, but at the same time, I realized that we only experience maybe 10%, like, we only perceive 10% of, like, light, or is it hearing? Like, we can only hear 10% of what actually is going on. Same with light. We only see a specific percentage. So our senses are not fully sensing everything. And this sweatshirt is bunching up in a way that makes me look like I have a really weird build, and I do not like that. I also, while I do obviously believe in the science behind everything, I also know that there's just things that we cannot explain and we will not have answers to. And that's the way I also feel about, like, ghosts. I don't think I'll ever have any full-on theories about the afterlife or anything like that anymore, because we just don't know. I don't know if I think that there are human spirits roaming the earth or in need of, answers to be set free. But then again, I can't explain that whole thing that happened to me on my 10th birthday. So I feel like we'll just never know. I will never know. I don't really know if I don't think I believe in those people who have, like, near-death experiences. I kind of feel like when people who have those kind of just, it's a subconscious premonition or subconscious, like, idea that kind of just comes out. I feel like maybe everybody dies differently, if that makes sense. Well, everybody does die differently. I feel like everybody experiences something weird, or, like, experiences some type of thought like that differently when they die, maybe. Who knows? I'll only know when I'm dead, and I unfortunately can't make a video about that experience. So who knows? I hope y'all enjoy my sports bras. Just realized that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know, but I love talking about things like this. I've always heard creaking. Like, my dad also has had so many stories. He's, like, a chronic liar, though, so I don't know what to believe when he says things. He'd be like, he always told the story of the first apartment he lived in. He would wake up to fresh coffee every morning. Like, he's like, I had a female ghost that would literally make coffee every morning. And I'm like, did you have one of those automatic coffee makers? Or, like, why was it a female ghost? What if it was a man ghost making you coffee? Like, are you saying it was a female ghost because of some, like, misogynistic idea that, like, women just have to cook and do everything for you? Or, like what? Now, I do believe he owns a restaurant. The first restaurant burned down. I do believe that there was a ghost in the first restaurant. Those buildings are in a historic part of Louisiana outside of New Orleans, and these buildings were over hundreds of years old. Like maybe 100, like not hundreds, but really old. Back when there was like war and stuff. And I do believe that there was a older woman spirit there. Not like this bad vibe, but in one of the old bathrooms, there was this door that led to outside, and it was sealed shut. In that bathroom, I hated using that bathroom. It was quite literally the worst feeling. You would walk in there and I'd feel sick. There's been a lot of times where I get really bad feelings about things, to the point of throwing up or just like headaches and things like that. That would go away when I leave places or like stop talking to people. That was one of those experiences. I think there was an older female spirit there. And see, that's another thing. Like I'm saying older female spirit, but then I also say I don't know if I believe that ghosts roam the earth, so who knows. But in that bathroom, in the back of the building specifically, not just the bathroom, there's also like the storage room, was the worst feeling ever. Like it just felt horrible to be in there. That's my little ghost stories, my little spirituality shit. Like, take it or leave it. Maybe if you've had any like experiences like that, let me know, because I don't know what I was watching. Maybe it was a Sam and Colby video. Don't even get me started on those. I love Sam and Colby, but some of the people they be bringing on there, I don't know how I feel about Amanda. I think she does see things, but not to the extent. Like her childhood, yeah. But I think she's super dramatic about some things, and it, like, I don't know. Don't come after me. I know there's a lot of Amanda defenders. I just don't know how I feel about her. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. I love a girl. I'm all for the girls, but I'm not hating on her. I'm just saying it's just weird. But yeah, so it's like, I feel like I was watching a Sam and Colby video or something, and in the comments, somebody was like, yeah, I've experienced this, and this. Like the bed. It was the bed thing. It was the feeling and even seeing like the bed dip next to you. And I was like, I never thought anybody else experienced that. I never brought it up. Like, I thought it was that just super weird niche, like, it's also weird that it's happened to all three of us, like me, my sisters, so who knows. I really do want to go to the Myrtles plantation. I think that's like only a few hours away, but if I ever stay at either of them, I really want to go to the Deschanel because it's literally, can you tell I just tinted my eyebrows? And this one was on longer than this. I will film, and I will go all out. I want to get an EMF reader and a spirit box to do the Estes method, and the flashlight thing. But I'm not buying no ghost hunting flashlight. I'm going to Home Depot. I'm buying those little flashlights. Or my papa has like 20 flashlights. I'll just use one of those, because I know they're not bugged out. And that's something that really weirds me out. I really don't know how to explain when I see it. Where you put the flashlights and you switch it. Like, it's one of those where you have to turn the top to turn it on. And you turn it slightly so that it's not fully off, but it's not where it's like flickering. You know, if you turn it and it's like almost on, so it's kind of flickering, not that close, because then that's kind of like suspicious, because it might just flicker on. So you just turn it enough to where it's not fully off, and then you ask questions, and then like the spirit can like use its energy to turn it on. I don't know how that stuff works. Now, if some like nerd out there can like explain that to me, I'm all ears. But that's like one of the methods that truly has me like gagged. I'm like, I can't explain it. The EMF, I know you have to watch out for like actual man-made electricity, like things like that. Spirit box is also weird. Specifically, I like whenever they put the blindfold and the headphones on, because you're more tuned in and you can't hear what is being asked. Like, I'll never touch a Ouija board, first off, not because it's like unreliable. I think that it's really weird, but also because like if I'm with somebody else, I'm not trusting their ass. You're moving it, bitch. I just know it. I'm very not trusting. You get the point. So it'd have to be something where I'm like, I cannot hear, and then it had to be videoed back so I can make sure everything's like aligning, stuff like that. If that ever happens, I will be making a video about it, because that's crazy. Also, reminder, if you go to plantations, you better have the right intentions, This is not some happy-go-lucky vacation thing, so you can spend the night. And make sure you're going to a plantation where they acknowledge the history was not good. I was kind of weirded out by the Destrehan plantation because they quite literally opened a coffee shop on the grounds. I was like, that's really weird. I don't really like that. But they do acknowledge, like, this was bad. And they have events where they're like, this happened. They have events where they, like, show what the slave life routine was and how bad it was. Just a friendly reminder to, if you do like a little amateur ghost hunting and it's at historical places, be respectful and make sure you do your research. You don't want to be going to this like actually horrible place. Also, just don't be a bad person. Okay, bye.